What's up guys, this is Chris Olsen from PikNinja, and today I'm going to be breaking down the chainsaw serve and how you can do it too. I've been using the chainsaw serve for about 1 to 2 months in all of my rec games as well as tournament play, and it's something that I've really come to enjoy. And if you've been on the pickleball forums, then you know that this serve has been a crazy hot topic for quite a while. There aren't that many videos that explain it that in depth, so I wanted to make something with good slow motion as well as all the mechanics you need to know on how to do this serve. Now before we get into this, I just want to explain that this serve can appear very differently in video than it does in real life. This can be due to the frame rate of the video, the lens that's being used, and the angle of the camera. There have been plenty of pro tournaments or just videos of this serve where people go, "Oh, that looks really easy to return. It didn't even kick that much. Why can't people return it?" Well, video can be very deceiving. Until you have played someone in real life with this serve, I would say hold off your judgment until you've tried it or played someone who can do it, because this serve does kick quite a bit and video does not always do it justice. So just keep that in mind while watching this video. I've done my best to make sure that it's as visible as possible, but sometimes in video it just doesn't look like it does that much. But trust me, it does. We'll have timestamps throughout this video, so if you want to skip to a certain section, feel free to do so by scrubbing the bottom bar or looking inside of the description. But with all of that being said, let's get into how the serve originated and what the current rules are about the serve. So in 2021, there was a serve added that was deemed the COVID serve, where essentially you could put the ball on the paddle, drop it off the paddle, and then serve it. This was to help people not have to pick up the ball because of COVID, didn't want to spread germs and all of that. So what Zane Navratil figured out is, okay, there's no rule about what I do if I spin the ball off the paddle, and I bet that would help me generate some extra spin. All of the same rules apply, where the ball still has to be hit below your waist, has to be hit in an upward arc, and all of that. But there's nothing about spinning the ball. And the reason it got called the chainsaw is because when you pull the paddle back and roll the ball off the paddle, it kind of looks like you're pulling the cord on a chainsaw, hence the chainsaw serve. Now, since this has come out, multiple ways of doing this serve have come about. Morgan Evans does it his own way, where he will take one hand, his non-paddle hand, and then snap his fingers to get the ball to spin in the air. And then the other common way is taking both of your hands and not using the paddle and spinning the ball out of your hand that way. All three of these methods can be effective, but in my opinion, spinning it off of the paddle is the least effective method. I have tested all three of these, and I don't believe that using the paddle gets any more RPMs than either of your hands, and I personally find it less consistent if you spin it off of the paddle. All right, so I did come up with a way to roughly calculate the RPMs from each of these three different tosses, and the results were actually pretty interesting. So what we did is we colored half of a pickleball black in Sharpie, so that way we can count how many full revolutions it does during the toss. And then what we did is we filmed these in 120 FPS and 240 FPS to give us the most amount of frames that we could count. And then what I did is I found this bowling website which can calculate the RPM of a ball. And so what you'll do is you'll plug in your video frame rate and then how many frames it took to complete one revolution on the ball. So what I've done is I skip the first initial toss off of the ball, and then I count the revolutions after that. So if I go ahead and zoom in here, we'll go ahead and scrub until I toss the ball. So you can see that the black marker is now on top right here. If we full screen this, the black is right there. And now we're going to go ahead and count the frames for the black to come back on top again. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And you can see the black is now on top to complete one revolution. So we can go ahead and plug in 18 at 240 FPS, and that gives you 800 RPM for the chainsaw serve. And if we want, we can go ahead and count one more full revolution just to make sure that's consistent. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We'll check the ball. Black is just about on top here. We'll go one more just to be safe. 19, and now black is fully on top. So we could go ahead and plug in 19 here. And now we get about 757 RPM. So this is not a perfect way to know 100% what the RPMs are, but this does give us a range. So anyways, right here we have somewhere between 700 and 800 RPM for the chainsaw toss off of the paddle. Now if we come over here and we do a two-handed toss, this one was filmed in 120 frames per second. So we'll wait for the ball to complete 1 full revolution and then start counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8, and the black is back on top. And if we plug that in, 120 FPS, 8 frames, that is 900 RPM. And if we want to make sure, we can count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That one was about 9. Plug that in. Whoops. 800 RPM, and we'll do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that one was 7. And 7 gives us about 1,000 RPM. So anyways, for this one, you have a range that's about 800 to 1,000 RPM. So as we can see, for me, the two-handed toss is more RPMs than the paddle. All right, so now we have a clip from my brother who has started using the Morgan Evans toss, and he gets about 1,800-ish RPM. So let's go ahead and count this. We'll scrub until the ball gets tossed, which is somewhere, let's see, right about here. So we'll wait till the black is on top, right there, and then we'll start counting from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and the black is fully on top, and this was shot in 240 FPS, and now we get 2,000 RPM. We can go ahead and count that one more time if we want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and it's back on top. And that gives us 2,000 RPM. Now, we did also do my own one-handed toss, and I was getting anywhere between 1,500 and 1,800 RPM myself. So, like I said, this is not a fully perfect scientific test about getting the exact RPMs of the ball, but I think this does give us a range to understand which ones have the highest RPM, and the Morgan Evans toss clearly obliterates both the paddle and the two-handed toss. All right, so after making this whole video, I had the chance to speak to Porter Barr, who has an absolutely incredible chainsaw serve, and I asked him if he could send me a video so I could analyze his rev rate as well. You'll see it in this video, but the way he tosses the ball is different from most people. I've actually never seen anyone else do this. He will use his thumb and apply a ton of pressure on the ball. When talking to him, he said he's pressing the ball up against the paddle handle and his thumb is pushing into the ball, which creates a ton of energy. And I actually went and tested this myself, and I was getting significantly more RPMs by using this method. After analyzing Porter's, his rev rate is anywhere between 2,400 and 2,800, which absolutely blows out of the water every other test that I had done myself. And my brother's doing it one-handed. I do not know what the rev rate of the other pros are right now, but I would be very surprised if any of them were higher than 2,800. I think that's really ridiculous. At some point, we may try and get in contact with some of the pros and see what theirs is as well. But either way, I think that Porter's way of tossing the ball two-handed is probably one of the best in the game right now. And if you're going to learn a two-handed toss, I would recommend trying to learn his. I don't think it's that much harder than the traditional two-hand toss, and I think that you get significantly more RPMs. As soon as I switched to doing this, I was getting anywhere between 1,600 and 2,000 RPM. Now, one thing that does make this confusing is there are two different pro leagues right now. There's the APP, which uses the USAPA rules, which means you can spin it off the paddle, you can spin it off your hands, however you want. And then there's the PPA, which is the Pro Pickleball Association and is not affiliated with the USAPA. And they kind of pick and choose the rules that they want to use. So they've decided that you are not allowed to spin the ball off of the paddle, but they don't care if you spin the ball off of your hands. So for all of us rec players, we use the USAPA rules, which means you can spin it off the paddle, you can spin it off your hands, however you want. But for PPA Pro events, you are not allowed to spin it off of the paddle. So you'll see that Zane in PPA events will not use the paddle, he'll use his hands. And then in APP events, he still sometimes uses his paddle. He also uses his hand. And I personally believe he's still just using the paddle as a way to mix it up and keep his opponent guessing. Now, also be aware that there is a proposed rule change to get rid of these spin serves in 2022. But what people don't know is what that's going to look like. Does that mean we just can't use the paddle anymore? Does it mean we can't use our hands at all? Can we still use our non-paddle hand? No one really knows what that's going to look like, and I don't think we're going to know until December or January. Now, one rule I want to mention that a lot of people are confused about is you have 10 seconds to do your serve from the time the score is called. So if you threw the ball up in the air and it spun away from your body, you can let it tap the ground and pick it up, and then you still have however much time to complete your serve. So if you toss the ball up and you the ball slips away from you and someone tells you, oh, that was your serve. No, it isn't. You have 10 seconds to go ahead and redo your serve as long as you did not make contact with the ball. So just be aware that this serve might not be legal next year, but from now until the end of 2021, it is perfectly fine to use. So like I said before, personally, I find that using the paddle is not as effective as a method as just using your hands. I think for most people, the coordination with just their hands is going to be a lot easier. So that's what I'm going to focus on in this video. And eventually we're also going to do a video breaking down Morgan Evans' serve, but we believe that deserves its own video because it's much more complicated than just spinning it with two hands. Now what you're going to do if you want to use your hands is grip your paddle with your pointer finger and your thumb like this, and then you're going to hold these three fingers out in front of you, your pinky, ring finger, and middle finger, and then you're going to take your left hand with the ball in it and roll it off the front of your fingertips. And then right at the end, you can do the same thing as you do with your paddle, where you ramp your fingers up a little bit to make sure that the ball goes straight up in the air. This is something you can easily practice at home because you don't even need to hit the ball yet. In fact, what I would recommend for people just learning this is take the ball and just spin it out of your hands a bunch and see if you can get a consistent toss. Normally it takes people a handful of tries before they start getting the idea and making sure they can get it in a range where they would easily be able to strike it with the paddle. And if you're at home and want to practice this without a paddle, you can just hold your hands in this grip and then just roll the ball off your hands while you're walking around your house. This is something I was doing for quite a while, and it made it much easier to do the serve when I finally got to the courts once I was comfortable with how to toss the ball. And when you're doing this toss, your hand is going to be pointing away from your body. Your fingers are going to be facing the same direction that your chest is going to be facing, and this is going to be important when we get into the different stances that you can do. Now, the other thing that you can do to add spin to the ball is roll it off of the back of your hand. So instead of going off the front, you actually come off the back of your hand. And this is so that you can add backspin that goes towards your body instead of topspin that's going away from your body. Again, this will be important when we get to the different stances. Not very many people are doing this right now where they roll it off their back of their hand. I think it's just because it's less consistent and you're probably not going to generate quite as many RPMs doing it. But in the future, if this serve is allowed to continue being used, I think people are going to innovate in that more to help mix up their serve game. Or you can keep all your fingers on the paddle and then stick your thumb out and roll the ball off of your thumb. I personally find that this is a little easier than going off of the back of my hand, but you can experiment with both and see what's more comfortable for you. All right, so now that we know how to spin the ball, how do we choose which direction the ball is going to spin? For now, we're just going to focus on spinning the ball straight off your fingertips. We're not going to spin it off the back of our hand. We'll come back to that in just a minute. So to decide where you want to spin the ball, it's all going to be about where your chest faces on the court. Typically, when someone serves, their chest is going to be facing directly at the court. But when you do one of these spin serves, you need to either face your chest to the right or to the left. And since the ball is rolling straight off your fingertips, if you are facing the court, this means you'd be adding topspin. So if you want to add spin that's going to the right, you need to take your entire chest and point it to the right. And now when you spin the ball, it would kick towards the right half of the court. So when you throw that ball off your fingers and now hit it, when the ball lands, it'll kick to the right. If you want it to spin to the left, you're simply going to take your chest and face it to the left, spin the ball, and then strike it. Now, this left stance is by far the most uncomfortable stance for most people. Even when they see you lining up to do this serve, they often get confused because no one ever takes their chest and faces it towards the left half of the court. So this definitely takes some practice because I find when you do this, you need to spin the ball out of your hand and make it go to your right a little bit so that you can turn your body and strike the ball. But when it comes to spinning the ball, that's all there is to it. You either face your chest to the left or to the right. All right, so now another variation pros are using to spin the ball to the left is they will take their fingers and instead of facing it out and along with their chest, they'll take it and face their fingers to the left. Now from here, the non-paddle hand is going to go down and the right paddle hand is going to go up. This will generate spin that goes to the left just by bringing the paddle hand up. So you can still read this because you can see their paddle hand coming up and you don't need to look at their chest as much. I've not seen anyone do it where the paddle hand goes down and the non-paddle hand comes up, but I suppose you could use that as another mix-up to spin the ball to the right, but I do think that the RPMs would be worse. All right, now let's talk about the different strokes you can use for your serve. There are main 3 strokes you're going to use for this. There's the regular stroke you would use for your serve, which is more of a topspin shot, and then you also have the forehand slice as well as the backhand slice. So let's go over just a regular stroke right now, since that's what most people are going to be comfortable with. The thing you need to understand about these serves is you put way more spin on the ball with your hand than you do with the paddle. So a lot of people get tripped up because people will spin the ball and then slice it, but the ball doesn't go in the direction of the slice. And that's because the paddle does not generate as much spin as your hands. So it's not so much the paddle you need to focus on, but where they are spinning the ball. So if I was facing my chest to the left, which means the ball is going to kick to the left, but then did a forehand slice, either what's going to happen is the spin is going to be negated and it's just going to go straight like a normal ball, or it's just barely going to kick left because there's slightly more spin from your hand than there is the paddle. So now with that being said, let's talk about this regular forehand stroke that people use for their serve. If I want the ball to kick to the right, I'm going to face my chest to the right, toss the ball up in the air, and then strike it like I normally would for a serve. This ball is still going to kick to the right. It may not have a giant amount of kick, but it's just enough to confuse your opponent. Because when the ball lands, they're expecting it to continue moving straight, and then it slightly kicks to the right, which can put the ball into their body or put it out of reach of their forehand or backhand. Same thing if I face my chest to the left, I can do the same exact stroke, but like I said before, you need to toss the ball up and to your right a little bit so that you have time to turn your body and strike it. Now, if you want to really make the ball kick, this is where the forehand slice or the backhand slice comes into play. If I want the ball to kick really hard to the right, then what I'm going to do is face my chest to the right, add spin with my hands, and then slice the ball. This is going to kick a lot harder than a regular forehand stroke. Same thing with the backhand slice. If I want it to spin to the left and use my backhand slice to generate a ton of spin, gonna face my chest to the left and then do a nice backhand slice stroke. So this essentially means you have 4 different ways that you can mix up your serve. You have a hard kick to the right, you have a hard kick to the left, and then you have what I like to call the disguised kick to the right or the disguised kick to the left. Because you're just doing a normal forehand stroke, people can't tell from your paddle which way the ball is going to kick. All right, so let's go over some examples. I have this red waistline here just so that people can see the ball is struck below my waist. Sometimes it can be hard to tell in video. This is here just to help clear that up. Anyways, right here we have the disguised kick to the left just from a bunch of different angles so you can see how the ball is struck. Like I said, not doing anything fancy here. You're hitting it how you would any other serve because the idea is you don't want them to figure it out from your paddle. The paddle can be a giveaway, but the biggest indicator is actually your hands. So if they're trying to look at your paddle and you're hitting it normal, they may not realize where the ball is going to kick. Right here, you can see how much the ball jumps. Right there, I would say that's about 3-4 foot jump. And now we have a drone angle you can see here, which will hopefully help you see how much it jumps. This red line is the flight path of the ball, and then the blue line is once the ball has landed and the direction it kicked, so you can get an idea from above how much the ball is kicking. Right here, we have the hard kick to the left. This is with the backhand. This will jump a lot more than the disguised kick to the left, but it is a little bit easier for your opponent to read. So right here, you'll see where the ball lands and then where the ball is struck. This is about a 5 to 6 foot jump for the ball. So if they're expecting it to land at their backhand and then it jumps like that, there's no way they're going to hit that. But my brother here, who is the one returning, has dealt with my serves for months, so he knew how much it was going to kick. Right here, we have the drone angle again. There's the red line, and then you can see the blue line that is where the ball spins after landing. And that is a pretty harsh angle and could mess just about anyone up if they haven't played against this serve. Right here, we have the hard kick to the right. We're going to do a big forehand slice to get the ball to jump even more. Here's from behind. And this is where the serve can be really deadly. If you can land it near the front kitchen line at the corner, a lot of times that ball will kick into the fence before your opponent even has the chance to run for the ball, which is what happened in that video clip. So I love to use the hard kick to the right when I'm on the left half of the court because it'll kick into the fence. Right here, you can see how the ball lands and how far it kicks. Again, that's probably about a 5 to 6 foot jump. And then we've got the drone angle right here. So there's the flight path of the ball, and then there's the blue line of where it kicks. Now we have the disguised kick right. Again, this is just going to be striking the ball normal because a lot of people are going to be looking at the paddle. So when you disguise it like this, if they can't figure out how you're spinning it out of your hands, they're definitely not going to have any idea of where this is going to kick. Here's from behind. And now if you want to mix it up even further, this is where spinning it off of the back of your hand comes into play. You could be facing the left half of the court, making your opponent think the ball is going to kick to the left. You could spin it off the back of your hand and then forehand slice it, adding a ton of spin to the right, and your opponent might be ready to run to the left, but the ball just takes off the other direction. So you can use that to combine a bunch of different mix-ups. Now, when it comes to the grip, I personally only use 2 different grips. I'm using a continental grip, or what a lot of people call the hammer grip or handshake grip. And then if I'm doing a regular forehand stroke, I'm going to be using a semi-western grip. A lot of people in pickleball don't really prefer this stroke, but coming from tennis, this is something I'm very comfortable with, and I found good results when using it for my serve. But the biggest thing is just mess with whatever you feel is comfortable to you. I've messed with a bunch of different grips for these serves, and I didn't find that one was particularly better than the other. If I'm just doing a regular forehand stroke and using a continental grip, I didn't find that that added any extra or any weird spin to the ball. So feel free to mess with what works for you, but for me, it's semi-western and continental. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and show some pro examples of these serves, just so you guys can get used to reading the cues that the players have. Because like I said, once you know the cues, it's pretty easy to figure out for the most part. So right here, we have Zane Navratil versus Tyson McGuffin. And based on Zane's stance right now, his chest is not facing our left, his right half of the court, and it's not pointed over here. He's pretty much right in line with the court, which I believe means he's just going to be doing the toss where his right paddle hand is going to go up and his left hand is going to go down, which is going to create spin that hops to Tyson's right. So let's go ahead and play this back. And boom, ball lands right here, jumps to his forehand. And if we play this frame by frame here, notice how his right hand is coming up, left hand is coming down, which means the ball is going to be spinning like this. Boom. All right, let's go to the next one here. We've got the same side. We'll scrub forward. He's got the same exact stance, so I think he's just going to do the same serve here, and we'll go frame by frame. Right hand coming up, left hand going down. So guaranteed this ball is going to land and hop to Tyson's right. Yep. All right, so now we'll play this one here. He's got the same exact stance, body facing the court. Hand is not facing away from his chest, it's kind of across his chest. If we go frame by frame, this paddle hand is gonna go up, other hand's gonna go down. Look at that, left hand is coming down, right hand goes up, and the ball hops to Tyson's right again. Very easy to read. Now here is one of Zane's recent matches. This was an APP event, and I believe his first 5 serves were an ace here. So let's go ahead and go frame by frame. Based on his body stance right now, he is facing the front of the court like he was previously. And now look, paddle hand coming up, left hand going down. This ball is going to jump in this direction. Boom. Serves an ace. Next one. Already, before he even puts the hand in, the ball in his hand, his chest is facing his partner right now. So this ball is absolutely going to kick over to the right here. He's going to roll it off his hands, the ball going this direction. So let's go frame by frame. Throws it up. Ball is spinning like this. And boom, kicks off to the right. All right, now let's go back here. Looks like he's going to do the same thing. He's got his chest facing his opponent, so his right hand is going to go up, left hand is going down. Yep, left hand coming down, right hand going up. Ball's going over here. Another great serve. Now we're serving back to JW again. If we play forward, his chest is facing the right again. So before he even tosses the ball, you don't even need to see the ball toss to understand that his cue is that his chest is facing the right. The ball is going to land over here again. And right here, let's back that up. He does a, what I've been calling the hard kick to the right here. So if we back it up, go frame by frame, he slices under the ball. Look at his paddle hand here. Slice across the ball, and it's going to jump to the right further than his previous serves were. Boom. Hops to the right. All right, so those are Zane's. Those are the primary ways that I have seen him serve. He doesn't tend to do the stance where he's facing his chest to the left. I don't see all that many people except Morgan do that. I think it's something worth mixing up, but if you feel you can generate good enough RPMs with your hands where your right paddle hand comes up and your left hand goes down, then by all means, that's perfectly fine. But I think for myself, I get less RPMs. So that's just really something that you have to work on messing with yourself. But Zane's way of spinning the ball to his left is doing that instead of facing his entire chest to the left. All right. Now for this match right here, we have Leigh Waters, and she only spins the ball to the left. Every single serve she does, she doesn't mix it up. It will always go in this direction, and she does it how Zane does it. So if we scrub forward here, you can't see very well behind her back, but if we go frame by frame, you're going to see her right paddle hand comes up. Paddle hand is coming up, left hand is going down, this ball is going over here. Slight kick to the left there. And now again, you can see her hands more. Right hand comes up, left hand goes down, ball's going to land and kick to the left. Great serve. Next one, same thing. And the ball went right into Catherine's body. So if we back up here, it's always going left. So when it lands here, she's being ready for a backhand, and then it kicks into her body. This is what I'm talking about, where the ball flight path can be very confusing from where it lands. And it doesn't look like Anna is putting any, weird spin on the ball with her paddle. She's just hitting a normal serve. And boom, right into the body. All right, so we're going to cover this more in depth in a specific video about Morgan's serve, but I do just briefly want to talk about the cues of how you can read Morgan's serve. From what I have seen, and there's not all that many video clips of Morgan, at least recently, but from the videos I've seen, he really only has two different types of serves, and they're phenomenal serves, but there's only two, and it can be pretty easy to learn to read. So the biggest thing when you are doing a Morgan toss is you need to look at where the wrist is facing when he tosses the ball. So right here, his chest is facing to the right, and his palm is facing away from the court. So that means the ball is going to be spinning to the right. So if the ball dropped and landed, it would spin right down this direction. So ignore everything he does with his paddle. It's not relevant. All you need to know is that the ball is rotating right here. So the ball is going to land, kick to the right. Notice he snaps his fingers. He's just rolling his thumb over the top and the bottom finger's coming down. So over the top, down. So spinning to the right. If we go frame by frame, he hits it normal, doesn't do anything too special with it. Now when that ball lands, right into the body. The dude was ready for a forehand, kicked right into his body. Let's play that at normal speed here. Boom, right into his body. Now right here, he's doing the same thing. Chest is facing to the right. His palm is facing away from the court. So this ball is going to kick somewhere to the right. Look at that. Lands right here, takes off, lands about here. There it goes. Next one. He's doing the same thing. Ball's going to land right over here. Okay. Same thing again right here. Ball went to the right. So as you can see from those few examples, anytime his palm is facing away from the court, that ball is going to the right. Now right here is the other serve that he does. We'll go frame by frame. Notice he starts facing to the left a little more. You can't see his wrist here, but his palm is going to be facing the court this time. The only two different ways you can do the Morgan toss and spin it is either with your palm facing the court, which means the ball is going to spin to the left, or palm facing away from the court, and that means the ball is going to kick to the right. Now right here, he's going to slice the ball to misdirect his opponent. They're going to be looking at how he hits the ball, and they think it's going to go right, but it's going to kick left. So let's go ahead and frame by frame here. So he does a huge slice right here, confuse his opponent, and now when this ball lands, boom, kicks to the left, doesn't have a chance to get that. So let's play that in real time. And notice here, this one specifically does not kick that hard to the left. It mostly just ends up going straight, but because the opponent saw such a big slice, he expects it to jump right, and that's why he's waiting so far on the right half of the court, and then once it doesn't jump, he's confused. So this is what I was talking about, where the paddle doesn't matter. It's all about the hand. You need to figure out how to read the hand. All right, now I've got one more example of him doing this right here. Notice, we're going to go frame by frame. His chest is already facing closer to the left than usual. If we go frame by frame, notice how the ball is facing the court right now. That means his palm is also facing the court. Keep going frame by frame. He does a huge slice. And now that ball is going to land and just barely kick to the left because the spin from his paddle is negating what he did on his hand a little bit. Boom, hits her in the body. She was ready for a backhand, and then it lands right in her body. Let's play that again. Just no chance to hit that. But if you know that when his palm is facing the court that it's going to kick left or barely jump at all, you can position yourself on the court better knowing that it's not ever going to kick to the right. So those are the two main ways that I see Morgan serve. We'll break that down more in another video, but I wanted people to understand that that is how you can read the one-handed toss as well. The only two cues are palm facing the court or palm facing away. All right, so here's a 4.5 gold medal match. This video generated a lot of buzz about the serve because the game was completed 11-0-2. The other team never even got to serve the ball. So let's go ahead and break down his serve. Porter is the one serving right here. He serves the exact same way I do, where all of the spin is based on where you face your chest. So just by looking at where he is standing right here, he's facing his right, which means when that ball lands, it's going to kick to the right. So let's go ahead and play this in real time. So you couldn't see the ball jump right there because she tried to short hop the ball, but that was unsuccessful. Also, this is one of those videos I was talking about where the angle is pretty bad, so it's going to be hard to see the kick. But just based on his technique, I assure you that ball is jumping a very noticeable amount. So going on to the next clip here, he's still facing to the right, so when this ball lands, it's going to kick towards the wall. Hard to see there, but it did take off and kick a little bit. Next, look, now he's facing his chest to the left. So when this ball lands, it's probably going to land about here and take off over here. So it's going to go towards her forehand. So look at that. She tried to set up for her forehand. She's trying to run and meet the ball. But because of how the ball takes off, it ends up just going right past her paddle. All right, so I found this fundraiser video that Porter did where people could try and return his serve, and this is much better for analyzing, so let's go ahead and hop right into this one. First of all, you can see that he is facing his chest to the left, and with Porter's toss, it's all about where he is facing his chest. So if he's facing to the left, that ball is going to kick into this general direction. So let's go ahead and play this back. So kicked quite a bit, but now notice this. Let's go frame by frame here. Porter actually slices this ball. And because Porter's rev rate is so high, even when he slices that ball, it still has a very noticeable kick left. A lot of serves, when people do this, either the spin is negated or it really doesn't kick that much. But Porter's rev rate is so high that it still hops a very large margin. So you can see him slice the ball there. And now watch when this lands. I mean, he's setting up over here and the ball just kicks left. That's a fantastic serve. So that is one of the ways that Porter serves. Right here, we've got him facing to the left again, and this is how he more traditionally serves. So he's not going to slice it. He's just going to strike the ball normal, and the ball is going to kick a lot more. I mean, look, that hopped from the center line like right into his body. From here to there is about a 5 to 6 foot jump. So that person got the return. Now Porter is facing to the right. So that ball is going to kick from here into the body or land here and kick to the right. Either way, it's going over here. So look at that. Landed right here, hopped into the dude's body. He had no chance of returning that. We'll go frame by frame. Lands right here. Goes to set up at the forehand and hits him right in the leg. Right here, Porter's facing to the left. I don't even need to see him do his toss. You just see him setting up, and you already know. Another great hop right there. If we look at that, lands just outside of the center line, and it's gonna hop all the way over here. Like, that is a very, very big leap. Next, left again. And I mean, that one's nearly jumping to the fence. So just outside of the sideline, and boom, taps the fence. That is a huge, huge kick. Next one, facing to the right. Ball is going to go over here or kick into his body. And just past him. Looks like he tried to short hop that. We've got another chest facing left. Look at that kick. I mean, that is just disgusting. It's a very nice kick. All right, and for this final one, we've got him facing to the left again. And another very nice kick on that one. So Porter has three main methods of doing this. He has facing to the right, facing to the left, and then facing to the left, where he will slice the ball to misdirect the opponent into thinking the ball is going to kick to the right. But if he is facing his chest to the left, that ball is absolutely kicking to the left. The paddle is pure deception. So yeah, that's a breakdown of Porter's serve. I honestly think he has one of the best chainsaws in the game right now. We're going to try and figure out the rev rate of some of the other pros and see where they're at, but Porter's is very ridiculous right now, and I think gives all of us a number to kind of strive to hit. So there you guys go. That is an in-depth breakdown of the chainsaw serve. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, as well as check out some of our other social medias if you want to stay up to date with what we're doing. And we'll see you guys in the next video.